Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2012 Ascari KZ1R. Now if you've never heard of Ascari before, then I wouldn't be all that surprised, because they were quite a small British manufacturer who made very few cars in very small numbers. So yeah, I'll give you a brief history on them. Ascari was established in 1995, their first car was made in 1998, and yeah, they were named after Alberto Ascari, who was the first ever double F1 World Championship champion. He actually did it back to back, 1952 and 1953. And yeah, this is basically the road-going version of a GT3 racer that Ascari made. And yeah, for a car that's based on a racing car, you have to say it does look pretty much like an ordinary road car, to be honest. And yeah, you can see that by the interior, plenty of space in there, plenty of luxuries as well. And yeah, it's even got a decent-sized boot as well. So yeah, not all that bad, to be honest. But what's underneath the hood, or at least the middle of the car, is a pretty damn good 4.9 litre BMW V8 producing 520 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty decent, to be honest. Granted, it's not obviously up there with some other mid-engine supercars, but for a car that only weighs 2,976 pounds, it's more than enough, quite frankly. And yeah, helps this car shift in a fairly decent way. So yeah, let's get out onto the road and see what this car can do. So yeah, a couple of problems with this car. But firstly, I don't think it's the most exciting looking vehicle ever. It's a little bit restrained. Yes, it's got the big spoiler, etc. like that, but it's a little bit restrained. It's a bit dull, to be honest, for a mid-engine supercar. But it's not ugly, and it's certainly not offensively ugly either. So at least it's got that going for it. And secondly, some of the acceleration. Granted, the 0 to 60 time of 3.717 seconds and the 0 to 100 time of 8.2 seconds is fairly good, and it has a pretty decent top speed of 202 miles an hour. But once you get past 120, 130 mile an hour, it doesn't seem to accelerate all that quickly. Just feels like it's lost some of that, you know, oomph that it has in the first few gears. But maybe that's just down to me, I'm not sure. But this car is more than just about outright power and acceleration and top speed, because it has really rather good handling. Primarily obviously down to that rear spoiler, but also thanks to the fact that it's got very little in the way of weight. And yeah, it's pretty much well balanced as well. There's 46% of the weight is up front, so enough is at the back to keep those wheels down on the ground with that spoiler, meaning that even though it is only rear wheel drive and it's dealing more than 500 horsepower, it sticks like glue to the road, meaning that you can really get it stuck into the bends. Yeah, there's a bit of understeer, but that's atypical of cars that have a lot of rear downforce. But yeah, on the whole, a solid car really. Yeah, granted it is obviously more suited to the racetracks, even if it is a road-going version of a race car. But it, you know, it's more than fun enough to deal with these normal roads out on the British countryside. And yeah, again, like other cars that have been either newly introduced to this game in the general sense of the Forza series, or are reintroduced from previous Forza games, because this was previously in Forza Motorsport 4. It might hopefully mean that we get this in a next Forza Motorsport game, which means that yeah, get to see what this car can really do out on the track. But as you can see, it's hardly a bad car even out on these normal roads. And yeah, really rather fun. The V8 is pretty nice sounding, especially since it is naturally aspirated, so it's not got any turbos sapping any of that engine's noise out of it. And yeah, because it is obviously lightweight, it's quite chuckable, and yeah, got fairly potent acceleration, even if it does feel a little bit slow once we get up to 4th, 5th gears, etc. Nonetheless, cracking car overall, and yeah, glad it's back in the Forza series, quite frankly. And yeah, I recommend trying it out, because it's not all that expensive. I think it's about 240,000 credits or something, so it's quite cheap for a mid-engine supercar. And yeah, obviously you can do plenty of upgrades to it to make it even faster if you wish. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.